get ready for part 2 of Living History Iraq as we join the story back with Sergeant First Class Chad Stephens as he goes into the Battle of Baqubah. His first platoon was a relieving 3rd platoon who had taken multiple RPG hits and had to pull out. And now he's rolling into battle with the company commander and the XO. And join us now for part 2. The battle begins in the Battle of Baqubah. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, Sergeant Stephens, thank you so much for making time for us. That first part of the interview was powerful, impactful. I've got a lot of good feedback. The story, your own personal story, dramatic, 27 years of military service, 2 wars, and the story you told of the North Carolina National Guard, you really became a voice for thousands of soldiers that you were representing in that. And so we thank you so much. But we want to pick up where we left off. Okay. And where we left off was really an emotional moment. You were telling us that the battle of June 24th, 25th had kicked off, and your platoon had been told that there was an ambush on another platoon in Alpha Company. You're rolling out of the gate. You have the company commander and the company XO in their track. Three Bradleys in your platoon, was that correct?
Right, I had 3 Bradleys. One of my Bradleys was down at that time.
Okay, so 3 Bradleys for your platoon, platoon sergeant. 2 other tracks, so 5 tracks, 5 Bradleys rolling out the gate to respond to another part of Alpha Company that's engaged, and they're heavily engaged. The most heavy engagement up to that time. Take us back there. Get us back to what was going on when you got the word that you needed to get your soldiers geared up and roll out.
Okay, so I had just got off a mission probably about 6 in the morning. I had just got off a mission, and I came in as I was coming into the FOB, the forward operating base. 3rd platoon was going out. They was relieving us. So me and the platoon sergeant talked a little bit on the radio. And they went on out, we went in. We got our vehicles ready to go back out when we got in. We got everything ready to go back out, fuel them up and everything. It took a while, and then we went to lay down to get some sleep because we knew we had to go back out in a couple of hours.
Beans and bullets and get the soldiers some rest.
Yes, that's right. So we finally get everything straight, and we lay down. As soon as we lay down, all the lights out, it's pitch black dark in the tent. And the commander, Captain Cash, came running into the tent, hollering my name, Sergeant Stephens, Sergeant Stephens. So I said, yes, sir, what do you need? He said, 3rd platoon is under attack. He said, 3rd platoon is under attack. We need you to go out. I said, right. So I jumped up. I said, roger that. And he was telling me what was going on. I was getting my light. My guys ready. I turned all the lights on. We normally don't turn the lights on the base at night, but
it was still dark at that time.
It was still kind of dark. In the tent, it was dark. So I turned the lights on and told everybody, got to get up. We got to go out. 3rd platoon is under attack. In about 15 minutes, we was out the gate. Captain Cash, like I said, Captain Cash had followed me out. Him on his Bradley. And the XO had followed me out his Bradley. So it was the lieutenant leading, and then it was me, the platoon sergeant, and then it was my wingman, which was Staff Sergeant Payne, and then it was the commander, next vehicle, and the XO, the next vehicle. Okay. We rolled out the gate. As we was coming out the gate, we met 3rd platoon. 3rd platoon had took a lot of hits with it from RPGs and heavy fire. And some of their Bradleys were damaged real bad, so they came back in to consolidate and reorganize to get back out there. So we briefly talked to them, and we rolled out the gate. As we rolled out the gate, we probably got about a half a mile from the base going into the city. And as soon as we got there, we started getting small arms fire. We could hear small arms fire tinging off the sides of the Bradleys.
So half a mile is not very far.
No, it's not far. So I mean, it was right on top of us.
In a vehicle particularly, you're talking about within minutes or 2 of rolling out of the gate, you're already under fire.
Yes, we're already under fire. And everybody, we rolled out, everybody was at, the commanders had their heads at the top of the Bradleys at name tag defilade, like we ride, so that we can see better with our heads at the top. And plus we can get air into the turret because it's so hot out there. Right. So we rolled, we started taking small arms fire. I was looking at my lieutenant's vehicle, his hatch slammed shut because he was taking fire. Then I reached up and slammed my hatch shut. I reached up, grabbed the handle, and my hatch slammed shut. At the same time my hatch slammed shut, Captain Cash called and said, close your hatches, because they're on top of the buildings trying to target the commanders of the vehicles.
So they're firing down on the vehicles.
Trying to fire into the hatches.
Gotcha.
Because they knew we rode with the hatches open. Right. So at the same time he was saying that he reached out to close his hatch, but his hatch didn't close, from what I understand. His hatch didn't close shut, so which means he had to get out and unlock it, stand out the top and unlock it. So when he stuck his head out the top, he took fire. Sure. And he was hit twice. And they came across the radio and said Alpha 6 has been hit. So
at this point, no one knew how bad it was.
Right.
It was just a radio transmission. Company commander's been hit.
Right. Yeah. Right. And Captain Cash was a tough guy, real tough guy, Ranger certified, all that. So he was tough. So I didn't think nothing of it. I said he'll be okay. Right. So his gunner came across the radio, so we turned around, we're going back. The XO said we're going to follow you. So they left, which left my three Bradleys out there. So at the same, we're still taking fire. We rolled up probably about another quarter mile, half a mile, and as soon as we rolled up near the middle of the city, IEDs went off beside the vehicles. So the IEDs went off, and when they went off, they rocked the vehicles. I mean, it was like they're going to turn over.
How much does a Bradley weigh?
A Bradley weighs 33 tons.
33 tons.
33
and it was
tons.
Rocking the vehicle.
33 tons, and it may have been a little heavier with the reactive armor.
Right.
But normally about 33 tons, combat loaded. And it rocked it like it was going to turn it over.
So wait a minute. I want to back up if you don't mind, because just something struck me about you. So 5 vehicles roll out. You know you're going into an engagement.
Right.
2 vehicles. There's a wound. Now you've already got a report of a man wounded.
That's right.
And 2 vehicles pull off.
That's right.
Now it's just the three vehicles going
That's right.
in. And I understand that they wanted to take care of their wounded man. Did in any way did you guys feel like that you should have been maybe held back until somebody could support y'all, or was it normal for that few? I guess it was no normal. It just strikes me that you guys kept going into the engagement with that few vehicles, that small of a force.
Yeah, well, we had the firepower. We had the firepower to stop them. The only problem was finding out where they were and how many it was and what we was dealing with.
But you felt comfortable.
We felt
had
comfortable.
The firepower to handle whatever was going on.
Oh yes, we could have handled it.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
No problem. So the IEDs go off rocking the vehicle, and as the IEDs rocking the vehicles, all of us stopped. So when we stopped, my lieutenant up front had took his body armor and stuff off and laid it in the turret. And when he went to turn his turret, he was way up ahead of me. When he went to turn his turret around, his body armor got stuck in the turret. So he was out of the fight at this point. He's trying to get his body armor out between that turret. So at the same time, we start getting hit with RPGs. So my driver was the first one to holler RPG. When he hollered RPG slammed into the side of my vehicle. When it slammed into the side, it was like so loud, it just deafened you, and everything went in slow motion. So when everything came back to us, I told my gunner to find a target. So he turned the turret to the left where the RPG fire came from to look for a target.
Did you see, now, so our viewers can understand, a driver on a Bradley has about 6 vision blocks in front of him in a semicircle.
Right, that's right.
So he saw the RPG fire.
Yeah.
Did you ever catch sight of where it came from?
No, we didn't know where it came from, but as we turned the turret to the left and we was looking for a target, right. We could see enemy everywhere. They was all in the building, all in the windows, on top of the building. Yes, on top of the buildings. The buildings were like 6, 7, 8 stories high. Okay. RPGs were lined up all the way across the top of the building.
Oh wow.
We could see the RPGs sticking up. The guys had their head down. We could see the RPGs sticking up. We see them pop up every now and then and fire one.
And now you're down to 2 Bradleys because one's out of the fight because it can't swing its main gun around.
That's right. So it's just me and my wingman.
Oh wow.
So we're doing everything we can. We're engaging, and we were so close to the enemy with the Bradleys. As we find a target and laze it, it wouldn't give us a range. So the guns were off. Every time we pulled the trigger, the guns were off. So we had to tell the driver
too close for the laser rangefinder to even read the bounce.
Yes, that's how close they were to us. So I told my driver to tell us where the rounds were going because we couldn't see them. Some of them we could see.
So
the
basically, he's an artillery spotter.
he's
for
telling
you
us
guys
he's
now.
telling us down, 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 up, left,
Oh,
or whatever.
wow. Okay, yeah.
And we start hitting guys. All right, so
They don't teach that at NTC.
no, they don't teach that. That's something you learn on the ground. So at this time, we're still sitting at a flank, so they're shooting at the side of our vehicle. So I tell my driver, turn and face them.
Right, where the heaviest armor is on the
Right,
vehicle.
that's right. So we turned and faced the enemy, and I told him do some bounding moves. Bounding moves is just driving back and forth up, because most of the time when they shoot an RPG, they'll pop their head up and see where you are, then come back down, arm the RPG, then pop up and shoot at that spot.
Right.
And if you're not there, then they just missed. So we do bounding movements, and the driver is still hollering every 5 minutes, RPG, he could see them coming. So as we backed up a little in the city, we backed up, we could get a range. And once we got a range, we started engaging guys.
Okay. Yeah.
The driver was still hollering, RPG. So I finally told my driver, just shut up, man, and drive the vehicle.
Don't tell us anymore.
Yeah,
There's too many
just
of
shut
them.
up. So
you got enough distance now that the 25 millimeter became effective.
That's right.
That you could begin engaging.
that's right. So the coax, we could use that effectively. You know, we could spray the area and keep the heads down.
Explain to the viewers what a coax is.
So the coax machine gun is it's called 240 Charlie. Shoots about 300 rounds a minute. So right beside me inside the vehicle, I got two ammo boxes, and they're full of ammo. They're all chained together, linked together, and it goes up into the turret and goes to that gun, and it goes to that gun. So I got about six.
You have
I got about 6 to 8.
cannon, and then you have the machine gun
That's
beside
right.
the cannon.
Yes.
So the machine gun was effective at the close range, but the cannon was not as effective.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't really engage.
Right, because when you lay something, the computer in the vehicle puts the gun on the target.
Right.
Yeah, so to adjust the gun so to hit the target. So we couldn't get a laze, so we had to we didn't want to waste bullets with that.
Right.
Not hitting anything, so we just used the coax until.
And the driver's seeing so much enemy activity.
Yes.
He just keeps
yes,
screaming at y'all,
yes,
RPG, RPG.
So I finally tell my driver to shut up, and he got quiet, and he done what I told him. He done the bounding moves, trying to duck the RPGs and all that. And we stood there for a couple of minutes, and we're fighting. And I swing back my wingman. He's behind me. He's fighting. My lieutenant is still up here. He finally get his stuff out after a couple of minutes. He got his stuff together, and he started firing. He started firing back. But I was right in front of the ambush. So I'm the main vehicle in front of the ambush, right in the middle of the ambush.
Right.
And I'm just taking RPG hits. Boom, boom.
Do you have dismounts in the back of this battery?
At this time we had dismounts in the back. But
So you got soldiers back there.
Right. We couldn't drop the dismounts, because we'd have opened the door and dropped the dismounts. They'd have been shot up. So we couldn't drop them. At this point, we had to pull back out the ambush, drop them, and then go back in. So at that time, we're giving our reports, engagement reports to battalion. We call the battalion, giving engagement reports, telling them what's going on. They tell us that they don't have any reinforcements to help us. We told them we was in the middle of an ambush. They didn't have anybody to help us there. Told us to move to. They had 2 bridges that separate the city. Told us to move to those bridges. So my lieutenant calls and said that they wanted us to move to the bridges. Well, I'm in the middle of the ambush. My wingman is behind me, and I said to myself, that's a bad idea. To move now, let's just fight in place, fight our way through here.
You're already engaged.
Right.
Let's just fight
Right, but we decided to move. We decided to move. We moved, and as we moved, as I pulled out the ambush, my wingman had to come through there. So when he came through, I told him, I said, the building right behind us that has 6 RPGs on top. You got to keep your gun on that building, spray the top of that building, don't let them fire on you. So he said, Roger. So I bring my gun back down, and I'm still engaging targets, and we're moving. As he came through the ambush, and he started taking hits from the building that I was taking from, the gunner turns to the building. When he turned to the building, the guys on top with the RPGs fired down at him. They fired everything they had at him, and one of the RPGs came through his turret.
So you already knew there was at least 6 RPG
I know it
gunners
was at
on
least
this
6,
building,
yeah.
and he had to run that gauntlet.
That's right.
Now I want to go, and I don't expect you to badmouth your command. I just want to, because you're really just giving so much information right now. If you don't mind, I want to back up and think about this for a minute. I think everybody who's ever served in the military, our listeners understand, people watching understand that higher command gives orders that don't seem to make sense on the ground.
Yeah.
Based on what they think they see on a map,
Right, sometimes.
and what they're trying to position soldiers. Literally, you're like a chess piece that they're trying to move around.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, I kind of understood why they wanted us to move to the bridges, because they didn't have any reinforcements for us, anybody to help us from Bob Warhorse. So the reinforcements would have had to come
you're
from
all
Gabe.
alone out there.
Right. The reinforcements would have had to come from Gabe, which was a ways away on the other side of the city. So if they had to come across those bridges.
They want you to secure that only way across.
Right. They want us to secure those bridges.
Okay.
So we went to secure the bridges. We moved out. As we moved out, my lieutenant went on the bridge to make sure nobody was coming across the bridge. I went to go underneath the bridge, well, in between the two bridges, not underneath, in between the two bridges. As I pulled underneath the two bridges, I heard the vehicle behind me. I looked back at my wingman, and I heard that he had got hit. So when I looked back at him, the vehicle had stopped in the middle of the ambush. They was just taking fire, and the vehicle was smoking. So as we pulled this under the bridge, I jumped out with my dismount. I dropped the ramp. We dropped my dismounts. As I dropped the dismounts, when I got out the vehicle, I told my gunner, I said, keep engaging. I'm getting out the vehicle for right now to find out what's going on. So I got out the back of the vehicle. And as I got out the back of the vehicle and dismounts got out, some vehicles came out from under the bridge, and they was guys with RPGs hanging out the windows of the vehicles. And they was trying to engage us.
So like a technical vehicle came full of
right. They was trying to ambush us if we went to that low ground.
Right.
So they was trying to ambush us. So as they came, my gunner seen them first, and he started engaging them with 25. And then the dismount seen them, and they just sprayed them up and killed all the guys, killed all those, disabled the vehicle.
So you were literally at the right place at the right time and caught these guys trying to flank y'all.
That's right.
Yep.
So at that time, I was calling, I grabbed the radio, I started calling back to my wingman, Sergeant Payne. I was calling, no one answered the phone. No one answered the radio. So
you're trying to get it up to see what's going on.
Trying to find out what's going on, because they were still taking hits. They were still getting hit, and they were just sitting there in the middle of the street. Yeah.
Trapped in the kill zone.
Right. So I called the vehicle. The vehicle didn't answer. So I knew they had dismounts in the back, and dismounts had a radio. So I tried to call the dismounts in the back. They didn't answer. So I said, what's going on with this vehicle? And I couldn't find out what's going on. So at that time, my dismounts were out. I told the dismount, secure this area. Whatever you do, don't let nobody come in here. I said, right now, everybody out here is the enemy, so treat them like the enemy. Yeah. So they started engaging. I had this squad leader. The squad leader, he froze up for a while. He didn't know what to do. So I had a guy that used to be at E6. We had busted him all the way down to E4 prior to going to Iraq because he wouldn't do right. So we busted him all the way down to E4, and he ended up taking the squad back over and securing the area, getting the area secured. All right, so as they secured the area, I had my body armor on. I pulled my body armor off. I pulled my Kevlar off. I laid my weapon in the back of the vehicle, and I looked at my guys and said, I'll be back. And I took off running down the street. And as I ran down the street, they was shooting at me with everything they had, trying to get me. Bullets were just hidden around me everywhere. I could hear them going past me everywhere. So I ran down the street. I jumped on top of the vehicle, the disabled vehicle, and I started banging on the driver's hatch. Banged on the driver's hatch, and the driver popped the hatch. When he popped the hatch, smoke just boiled out. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I don't know, but it's too much smoke in here, and I can't open the hatch because they're shooting at us, and I can't get contact with the team in the back.
So he couldn't even contact the people in the back of the vehicle?
Right. So I told him, I said, Roger that, pop your hatch open and follow me. So they're still shooting at me now, trying to hit me.
Yeah.
So I jumped back.
You're in the kill zone.
Right. I jumped back off the vehicle and told him, follow me. So I run back down the street, and he slowly came behind me with the Bradley. The Bradley just slowly rolled behind me, and I came down to beside my vehicle, and I ground guided him back beside my vehicle. When I ground guided him beside my vehicle, I done like this to tell him.
You walked him back?
Yes, under fire.
Under fire?
Yes.
And had him walk that vehicle back following you?
Yep.
Oh. Wow.
So we finally get back to my vehicle, beside my vehicle. I get him out, tell him to drop the ramp. So he dropped the ramp. When he dropped the ramp, the guys just fell out. They had been chewed up with shrapnel and metal and stuff like that, and most of them was hurt real bad. So the medic went to work on them immediately. So the medic goes to work on them, trying to get them bandaged up and all that stuff. Put them in between the two vehicles, and he go to work. And so I run back up into the vehicle to get the gunner and the commander of the vehicle out, but the turret was turned to the side, which means that I can't get in there because because the door ain't available with the turret turned. So the only way to get to them was to get on top of the vehicle. Now mine is people still shooting at us, hitting the vehicles, bullets hitting the vehicle. So I climbed on top of the vehicle. I told one of my dismounts to get up there with me. He got up there with me. Well, so many bullets were hitting the top of the vehicle. my dismount jumped back down. He couldn't take it, so he jumped back down. So I reach in there and I grabbed the gunner's hatch and I pull it open. It was cracked. So I pulled it open. When I pulled it open, my gunner was in there, and he looked at me and he told me I'm dying. I said, "No, you're not gonna die. I got you." He said, "Okay." He said, "Okay." So I reached in there. I reached down. I laid across the vehicle, and I reached in there and I grabbed him by his shoulders to pull him out. But when I went to pull him out, he had been cut in half. So I hollered for the medic. As I hollered for the medic, I told the medic, let the combat lifesavers handle the guys on the ground. I needed him with me. So he came over there, stood beside the vehicle. He said, "What's up?" I said, "The gunner is hurt bad. We need you over here." So I reached down in the vehicle and I put my head across his shoulders, and I grabbed him by the waist and I pulled him all the way back up out the vehicle with the help of the commander. The commander put his hands up underneath him, helped push him to me. So we got him out.
He was in the turret there with the commander of the
You're
vehicle.
right. He had been hit twice in his arm
So
by a small arm.
Trapped in that turret. You're getting him out.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get him out. So I finally get him out, and as I get him out on top of the vehicle, we start getting hit by heavy fire, small arms fire again. So I laid on top of him for a couple of seconds to make sure he didn't get hit anymore. I didn't get hit, luckily, but finally I tell the medic to come over there. We pick him up and put him on a stretcher. We put him on a stretcher and evac him out. We called for help from the rear, but because we was in the middle of the ambush, no one could get to us. So they told us we had to move him ourselves. So all the training we had at NTC, Fort Stewart, and everywhere, we never realized that we couldn't put a stretcher in the back of a Bradley. So we tried to get the stretcher in the vehicle. It wouldn't go in there with everything in there. It wouldn't go in there with all the ammo loaded in there, everything. It wouldn't go in there. So we had to take the stretcher back out. I put him in my back of my vehicle. We took the stretcher back out. We picked him up off the stretcher, put him on the seat of the Bradley. I told the medic to ride with him. I briefed the lieutenant, told the lieutenant what was going on. The lieutenant said that he had already called up, and they told us to take him to Bob Gabe, which means we had to go all the way through the city with him. I took the vehicle that was damaged. It was still could maneuver. You still could drive it, but the guns and stuff wouldn't work. So I told the driver of that vehicle, I'm gonna put all my dismounts in the back. Whatever he do, don't stop. Told him to get in the middle. Lieutenant lead the way. He get in the middle, and I was gonna take the tail end of the convoy. I told all the drivers, I said, whatever you do, don't stop these vehicles. So we took off going through the city, still engaging. We're still getting engaged all the way through the city. So we going through the city, we passed a soccer stadium. As we passed that soccer stadium, that's where all the enemy had consolidated at that day. We didn't know that.
Like their headquarters.
Right. So as we passed that soccer stadium, we started taking RPGs and heavy fire game RPGs and all that.
Oh, wow.
So we turned looking for targets, and as we find targets, we engage them. So the convoy goes past the soccer stadium. I'm the last vehicle at this time. And as I pass it, the last vehicle passes it, they sent everything they could at me. And when they did, an RPG came through my turret where me and my gunner was. It exploded in the turret. When it came through the turret, it exploded. When it exploded, it knocked both of us unconscious. So I was unconscious I was unconscious for a while. Everything went dark. I was unconscious. And I finally came to. Just before we got to Bob Gabe, I came to. And I could hear bullets and stuff still going off and stuff like that. I thought I was hitting RPGs. But what had happened was, because I'm the platoon sergeant, I got all the extra ammo in my bezel ring on the outside, grenades and all that.
Right.
All those grenades were blowing up back there.
They're cooking off.
Right, they're cooking off. That's right.
Oh, wow.
So I came to. It had burnt the fire in the turret had burnt my hair off. It had burnt my mustache, all that off. And it had singed my eyes so bad that I couldn't open my eyes, so I thought I was blind. So I couldn't see. So I hollered for my gunner, telling him we were still getting hit. That he needed
the whole time,
the
these vehicles are pedal to the pedal, trying to get out of the engagement.
We're running over vehicles, anything in the road, we're running over, keep rolling.
Right.
So my gunner not answering me. So I reach around in the turret looking for him. So I finally find him here on the floor. So I grab him and pull him to me. And I'm holding him in my arms, and I'm trying to wake him up.
Right.
And finally he came to. Just before we got to the base, he came to. And I said, I said, you okay? He said, I don't know. I said, can you get behind the gun? He said, yeah. I said, well, you got to get behind the gun because I can't see. I don't know what's wrong, but I can't see.
So you're still blind?
Yeah. I said, I can't see.
Both of you have been knocked out.
Yeah.
You've come to, you're blind, and you find him knocked out and laying in the bottom of the dirt.
So he jumped right back behind the gun and started shooting, started engaging stuff. And we got on to Bob Gave, and as we were going through the gate, the people at the gate was engaging the enemy, trying to get on that base. So we kept engaging, and we got that. We finally got into the base, and we got to a secure area, and we dropped the ramps and got all the wounded out. As we getting the wounded out, medics were standing there. They was helping us out and all that. So they grabbed my gunner that had been critically wounded. They grabbed him, and they automatically took him to a helipad, put him in a helicopter to get him out of there. So at that time, the medics grabbed me. They pulled me out the vehicle. They put some cream on my eyes and got my eyes back open. They got my eyes back open. As I got my eyes back open, I'm laying on the stretcher. I tell them, you got to get my gunner out of there because I think my gunner hurt. When I looked up and they was pulling him out, I could see that he had part of an RPG wedge in his back, and his shirt had been burned off, all that. So he was really bad.
And he had gotten behind the gun.
Yeah, he was still
and
fighting.
Started engaging again.
Yeah,
and
tough
he had
guy.
a chunk of RPG sticking out of his back.
That's right. And so they put him on a stretcher with me. At that time, a major from the base came there. He said,
"Wow."
He said, "We need you guys to go back out there because we ain't got nobody to go back out there." He said, "Everybody we got is engaged with enemy. We got nobody else. You guys are all we got." So my lieutenant looked at me. He said, "Can you go back out there, Steven?" I said, "Roger that." So the medic said, "Hold on, we got to get you straight first." So they washed him. I had some metal in my eyes. They washed the metal and stuff out my eyes, bandaged my hands up, bandaged my head up.
You've been burned by fire. You've got metal all in you, and they're asking you to go back out into the city.
They asked me to go back out. So yes. So they bandaged me up. They get me bandaged up. I jump up. When I jump up, I run back to my vehicle. My vehicle's still on fire.
Are you kidding?
But that's all I got is that vehicle. So we put the fire out. We used fire extinguishers from other vehicles and the fire extinguishers that people had on base. That didn't put it out. We had a tow missile and the tow missile tubes on top where we engaged other tanks with. One of those missiles was on fire. So we said, oh man, we got to get this thing out before it explodes. So we opened the tubes up and pulled the missile out, threw the missile on the ground, and we used water bottles that we had on the vehicles to finish putting the fire out. So once we got the fire out, I got all my guys together. I probably had about maybe 18 left now that can fight. That's including the guys that's driving the vehicles and the commanders in the other vehicles. The rest of them was messed up. So I said, we got to go back out here, guys. So I looked at the lieutenant. I said, I need a gunner, man. I done lost my gunner. I ain't got no gunner now to command my vehicle, to go with me in the vehicle. So he said, well, I got a dismount. Specialist Frazier, that's the guy that I told you got in all the trouble. He used to be at E6, but now he's E4. He said he shot the gun a couple times. We was at Fort Stewart, so he know how to shoot the gun. I said, really? Put him in here then. So we find Frazier, and Frazier said, I tell Frazier, he said, yes, sir, what do you need? I said, man, I need you in the turret right here. We got to go back out there. He said, oh, no, man. Everybody that got hurt today been in that turret. I'm not getting in that turret. I said, yes, you are. Get in here. So he get in there. He's nervous as I don't know what.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he gets in there, and he was real nervous. Every time I tell him pull the trigger, he would hesitate.
He's watched y'all be shot to pieces in the turrets.
Yeah. He was scared to death. But he finally got his stuff together. And we went back out there, and we fought the rest of that day. All that day, all through the night into the next morning, we fought, engaging the enemy. And finally, 3rd Platoon, when they got their stuff together, they came back out with us. So we had a lot of firepower, but we ripped houses to pieces, looking for the enemy and everything. And
the 1st Brigade of the 1st Division, the one that y'all had, the Alpha Company had been gone down to support,
right?
Had the after-action report I read is that you guys had taken out 150 insurgents.
Yes.
Day.
Yeah. And that someone was taken. What I didn't mention was someone was taken by close air support. Okay. So what happened was when I passed the soccer stadium, they hit my vehicle. When I got back, I gave that report of where I got hit at. When I gave that report before we went back out, they held us before we went back out, and they called the Air Force. Air Force dropped 2 500-pound bombs on the soccer stadium and leveled it.
In the city?
In the middle of the city, yeah, and leveled it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to worry about those guys no more.
You didn't have to worry about
That's
two
right.
500-pound bombs
That's right. That's
on a
right.
soccer stadium in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that rocked everybody and everything around, and that probably changed the tempo of the fight as well.
Yes, it
and let
did.
everybody know that the Americans were coming back, and you better be on notice.
Yeah,
wow.
that's right.
So, man, you have just dumped so much information in the last 5 minutes that my head is spinning. Like this whole engagement was just crazy, like just crazy. So we got to back up a little bit to where your vehicle's in the initial ambush.
Yes.
You get ordered to go to the bridge, to secure the bridge so that you have freedom of movement in the city.
Right.
To get reinforcements, and so that y'all can control access to the. And you know that your wingman now has got to come through the ambush
That's
that
right.
you were just in the middle of.
Yes.
And he doesn't make it through.
You're right.
An RPG penetrates the top of his turret. Did I understand that correctly?
It came through. No, it came through the side. Came through one of the periscopes on the side, right between the dismounts, where the dismount's sitting in the back. It came.
Wow.
It came through the. It was just a lucky shot.
Right.
It came through the periscopes, and when it came through the periscopes, it went between the
Which
dismounts.
is a weak area of the vehicle.
Right. And it went through the. It went through the periscope between the dismounts in the back and into the turret and hit the main gun chutes where the main gun rounds come up to the gun. It hit those chutes, and when it hit those chutes, it started cooking those rounds off. So because the gunner is sitting right here on the vehicle, and those chutes coming right up in front of him as those rounds are cooking
Those
off.
explosions are exploding right beside his body.
He was catching every one of them.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And the driver, now it's full of smoke,
Yeah,
explosions.
yes.
He can't see anything.
He
can't
can't talk.
contact anybody.
That's right.
Can't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Commo's down. And so they're dead in the water, sitting in the middle of all this fire.
Yes.
Now, my friend, I'm literally, I have read the story over and over, but hearing you tell this story. So, tell me the name of the specialist, Staff Sergeant Specialist again. Frazier? Was it?
Yes.
So
We're still friends to the day. We still friends today.
Yeah.
He come see me, I come see him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
If there's any way we could get him in here, I love that story of him getting busted, but when the chips are down, he's a soldier.
That's right. That's right.
He's a soldier. So you guys get to the bridge, you're securing it. Your wingman's just dead in the water. Enemies engaging them. You guys just are at the right place at the right time to catch the enemy in a flanking move.
Yeah.
That would have tore y'all up had y'all not got there, because
Right.
they'd have got you from another direction.
That's right.
From under that bridge. So your dismounts and the gunners handling that, and so you remove your body armor, your firearm, your helmet,
Yep.
and everything, and you just make a dead run out to this vehicle under fire to see if you can find out what's going on. We got to take a minute, because I'm just shook up. I'll be honest with you, shook up thinking about that. The rest of the story is just madness and by itself, and we'll get to that. But we need to go, Sergeant Stephens. We got to go back to this for this. We got to go back to that moment, because there's no training that prepared you for that. Looking back now, you had the value of hindsight. What drove you to do that in that moment? Because it was not required of you.
Right. Well, I can tell you this right here. I told my guys, we was trained through the whole train up. Everything my guys done, I did it. Now, I could see other platoon sergeants. There are guys out there sweating, dirty, muddy, and they standing out there with a pad of paper and a pencil.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, looking at them.
Right.
But everything my guys went through, I went through it with them.
Okay.
And I promised them when we went to Iraq that I would never put them in a situation if I wouldn't go through it myself.
Right.
And I told them that whatever happened, no matter what happens, if they called me to come get them, I'd come get them. So I held my word.
So in that moment, it was just my word. You just thought, this is my
I said,
word to them.
Yeah, I'm going to get my guys. I'm going to get
there.
my guys. That's my job. Go get my guys. They hurt. I got to go get them. So that's what I did.
My hair is standing on the back of my neck right now. Wow. So, the platoon leader, I mean, I honestly, what was this guy doing? I mean, I'm imagining he's gauging the enemy.
He's engaging the enemy, but like I said, the vehicles are so far apart that he's shooting back into the ambush. He had already went through. They engaged till the second vehicle came through, which is me. So he was shooting back into the ambush.
Does he know that you're doing this? I guess is what I'm asking. Did he know that his platoon sergeant just took off on a dead run?
Oh no,
back into the ambush?
we had got to the bridge then. I don't think he knew because he was on the bridge. He was securing the top of the bridge while we was going down the low ground out to get the wounded out. But the wounded wasn't coming to me. They was still stuck. So I had to go get them.
Yeah, I just can't see. I wouldn't see that. Had you asked him for permission, he's not going to let his E7
Yeah, he'd have probably said it's a
back
bad
out
idea.
there.
I'm sure he'd have said it was a bad idea, but stuff is happening so fast, though. Yeah, I mean, you just got to make a decision and go
no
with
time
it.
to ask.
Right,
It's
you got
like,
to make a decision and go with
I can't
it.
ask,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you if I want to make sure that I remember this correctly. So you got your dismounts out, engaging this counter ambush that the enemy's now bringing down on y'all at the bridge. The 25 Mike is the Bradley's engaging that truck that was bringing those soldiers. At any time, did you finally get covering? I'm trying to just ask, did you ever finally get some covering fire? Did your guys realize what you were doing and get you some covering fire while you were out there?
No, they only had the area secured where we had pulled the Bradley down there. So I told them do a 360 and secure the area, make sure they secure this area, and I'll be back. And I took off running down the road.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So the driver was not injured; he was just incapacitated from the smoke, the explosions,
right. That's right.
and no combo.
That's right.
Okay. So you're banging on the hatch. I've been in a Bradley. I've been on M60 tanks, M1 tanks, served in the armor. How did you get his attention in all that madness? How were you able to get him?
Well, I banged on his hatch. I was banging on his hatch literally with my hand banging on it. And I guess he seen me in the spars and he popped the hatch. And when you pull it the first time, it pops up about that far, and smoke started boiling out. And I would start hollering at him.
Right.
And he said, man, I can't see anything. I don't know which way to go. He said, and I can't talk to nobody in here. So I said, open your hatch and follow me.
He was mighty glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
He was mighty glad to see your face.
Yeah.
Right? I can't imagine what he was thinking that my platoon sergeant's standing outside of my vehicle in an ambush, but I'm mighty glad to see him.
Yeah.
And so you start walking him out of the ambush.
Yeah, I walked him out and ground guided him out there. I told him, just follow me. So he followed me. Yep.
You know this story's crazy, right?
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
This story's crazy.
But yeah, it's true. Every bit of it's true.
It's
man.
a true story. I know.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Again. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
For our viewers who don't know this, there's a masterpiece painting of this engagement.
That's right.
That hangs at our state capitol.
Yeah.
And they need to go up there and take their families and go see that sometime. So you walk him out, and I just got to, because you told the story just so real time and quickly. Yeah. For our viewers, I want to go back and visit the details of this. You get him back, and you finally get him to lower the hatch so you can get the dismounts out the back.
Right, lower the ramp. That's right.
Yeah. So and they're all this vehicle has just had these 25 millimeter cannon rounds detonating inside the vehicle.
That's right.
And so these guys are just tore up in there, disoriented, smoke, fire. Explosions. Were you able to get them revived and get them back into the fight? Were the dismounts, or were they just so disoriented and out of it that you couldn't get them back into it?
Well, I had 6 guys in the back. I think 2 of them stayed with me.
Okay.
The other 4 had to be evac'd out.
Wow.
Because they were so bad. I had one guy. He was RTO. He had a radio on his back, and the radio had been hit. So and it messed his back up.
So it absorbed the explosions.
Yeah, so they evac'd him out. A couple of them had shrapnel in their face and chest and stuff like that.
So do you remember what was how many men were wounded in your platoon that day? Do you remember?
Oh, not right off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Let me ask another question. I guess is something maybe the viewers are interested in. What was the Army's criteria at that time for a Purple Heart? What constituted getting a Purple Heart at that time in the Iraqi War? Had they set it out yet?
Well, we had talked about it. Everybody talks about it, awards and all that stuff. Well, to get a Purple Heart, you have to be engaged with the enemy and be wounded, be wounded in an engagement with an armed enemy. And we knew that, but they gave me a Purple Heart, and I ain't used to it. I mean, I was like, why you give me a Purple Heart for? But
You
I guess
knew
I
about
earned
them, but getting one was a whole different thing. Like, why am I getting one?
Yeah, so they gave me one. While we was over there, we had a ceremony, and they called and gave me a Purple. I was like, what? What do you give me a Purple Heart for? But
Now, it sounds like a lot of men in your platoon got Purple Hearts.
yeah, a lot of them got Purple Hearts, and they started sending guys home after that. On R&R or home for a while to get the set together and before they come back. I think I came up for leave 3 times, and I turned it down every time. I would send my guys home because I had guys that had been wounded, and I said they should go home before I go home. I shouldn't go home. Yeah.
So kind of that, I know people talk about survivor's guilt, and that's a big part of PTS is survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
So just the weight of responsibility of these soldiers, you were turning down your leave and just allowing the soldiers to go on leave.
That's right.
So talk us through for a minute. So you leave the bridge. You tell your drivers it's pedal to the metal, guys.
Yes.
We've got to get back to the fob. And you think you're getting out of the kill zone, and now y'all get by this stadium, and you run right into another kill zone.
Right.
You're under fire again.
Right. Basically another ambush. Yeah. Basically it was another ambush. It was a far ambush. First time we was in a near ambush. Now we're in a far ambush.
Okay.
But far ambush is much better than a near ambush because you can fight far from a long ways away.
Yeah.
With tanks, you can fight them from a long ways away.
So now your vehicles are much more able to engage the enemy on a far ambush.
That's right. But I only got I only got 2 vehicles that can engage because the middle vehicle.
So one of them
guns are
is
down.
penetrated.
Yes.
The main gun's damaged. Ammunition is cooked off. But you said your vehicle also got penetrated. You and your gunner were wounded. Where was your vehicle penetrated? Where did the RPG hit you guys?
Right at the back of the bezel ring behind us. It came in behind us, put a hole all the way through the turret behind us, and right behind my gunner came in, right behind my gunner in his back.
Wow.
So as soon as it came to the vehicle, it exploded. When it exploded, fire and smoke went everywhere.
And you said it went all the way through the vehicle?
No, it didn't. This one didn't go all the way through. No,
Okay.
It exploded in the vehicle, and the
It
shrapnel.
penetrated your armor,
Yeah.
got in there with you guys, and exploded in there with you.
And my gunner took most of the shrapnel. I got it in the face and hands and chest and stuff like that. But
Wow. So, but it sounds like the vehicle that though you had a couple of penetrations, it sounded like those vehicles were taking multiple hits.
yes.
So they were looking back. Did the soldiers gain confidence or lose confidence in their vehicles and equipment from that engagement? Did y'all feel like we were well equipped and that the Bradleys held up well, or what was your opinion of your equipment after that?
I think the guys gained a lot of confidence in the vehicles that day.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they did. We knew the vulnerable points of it. We knew, get a lucky shot at people. Enemy get a lucky shot every now and then, and so we knew that. But it was just like I said, it was just a lucky shot that my gunner got hit.
You just get shot enough times. They get hit enough times, they're going to get lucky one of them get through.
Yep.
Because I don't think the Bradley was made to take multiple RPG hits.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
I
don't think nothing's made to take multiple.
They weren't planning for that. So you guys get in a far ambush. Now you're hit. You're blinded, and you're just rolling back to the fob there, wide open. Does the driver know that you guys have been hit in your vehicle? Does he know what's going on?
Yeah, the driver knew. Driver of my vehicle knew because he had tried to contact us. But my crewman helmet that I keep on to be able to talk to him and talk to everybody else in the vehicle, all that had been burned off. It had been all that had melted. The cores and stuff from it had melted down from the heat in the vehicle, so it wasn't working. Yeah. None of that was working.
Yeah, the CVC helmet.
Yeah, that's right.
Wore many of them. So that CVC helmet was just burned up and melted in
that's right.
The fire. So. Sorry, Stephen, you get back there, you guys are taking care of your wounded, you're evacuating the gunner out of the other vehicle that had been badly wounded. They put him on a bird, did you say they flew him out?
Yes.
And then you're told you got to go back into the city again.
Right.
You got to get the vehicles up and your vehicle's on fire. And you're having sympathetic cook-offs on your vehicle.
Yes.
Because you had all the ammo stored on it, and you're being told to go back in the city. Now, I know you told us that Specialist Frazier wasn't really excited about being a gunner in the turret.
Right.
Talk to us about the morale of you, the lieutenant, the rest of the men. How is your mindset being told that you had to go back in that city and get back into the fight?
Well, I mean, like I said, in the other piece, I mean, we're infantry guys. We do what we told. We know that if we get in a battle, that it's not going to be, easy.
Right.
But we're prepared for that. We're prepared for that. So we didn't have nobody. I don't think any of my guys had a problem going back out there. The ones that could go back out there went. They went with me.
So it's just it's orders.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
We're in a fight. We got to get back
That's
in
right.
it.
And we had lost the gunner. The gunner was well respected in the platoon. So the guys felt like they had to get some payback now.
Right.
I talked to my lieutenant. When I first saw him and asked him how was Cash doing.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
He had told me that he didn't think he made it. I said, "Oh man, he can make it. He's tough."
Right.
He said, "I don't think so, man. I don't think he made it." And then the major came out there. As soon as the major came in and telling us we were going back out, he said, "I'm sorry to hear about your commander. We can get you another one here shortly." Right. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He didn't make it." I said, "No, that shook everybody up because Cash was tough."
Yeah.
And he had
been in that unit a long time.
Yeah, a long time. And then I asked about my gunner, which was Specialist Desmond. I asked about him. And they told me they didn't have a report on him yet. He was still flying him into Baghdad, so they didn't have a report. So I found out about him later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they gave you the information later.
Yeah.
Now, what about his track commander that was with him? You said he was wounded as well. We didn't cover that.
He was evac'd out. Yeah, they evac'd him out. He had been shot twice in his left arm.
Okay.
They had shot when they started shooting down at the vehicles, and he went to close his hatches. I assume that's when he got shot. He got hit twice in the arm.
So the gunner was the cooking off rounds had gotten him, and the track commander had been shot twice in the arm.
That's right. Yeah.
And you guys evac'd him. So you put that vehicle was down then. It could not go back into the fight.
That vehicle never went back into the fight.
Okay, that was over. So you went back into the fight with only 2 Bradleys.
2 Bradleys. That's right.
Wow.
2 Bradleys.
Wow. So kind of take us to the end. When did this battle end? And when did you guys finally get a breath and finally get a sense of the magnitude, the scope of what y'all have just been through? The largest combat engagement that the North Carolina National Guard had been through in 60 years. When did y'all finally sit down and go, okay, and get a real sense of what you'd just been through?
Well, like I said, we fought all through that day into the night, through the night. The next morning, I think it was maybe about 5 or 6 o'clock. The battle was over, and we had pulled out. We had done our last engagement of looking for the enemy. We done our last engagement. One of our last engagements, my vehicle threw track, so it wouldn't move anymore.
Oh wow, yeah.
I got out the vehicle and tried to put the track on, and they pulled security while I was putting it fire. They were still fighting and pulling security for me while I'm trying to put the track on, but I couldn't get it on. So my first sergeant had got out there then, and he came over to me. He said, "Man, we ain't gonna get this thing out of here. We ain't gonna be able to get track on here. We got to pull you out of here."
Right.
So at the last battle we did, they drugged my vehicle. They put a strap on it, a tow cable on it, and they drugged me out the battle. So one vehicle was facing forward, one facing the rear, and we fought our way out of there and went back to base.
So you're down to 1 Bradley in this unit.
One. Yes, one.
Yeah. And so where did y'all go there? And when did you finally get to take a breath, man? This is just a crazy story.
Well, it's about 6 in the morning. It's finally over with. We go back to, I believe we went to Fob Gabe, and then after we got to Gabe, everybody consolidated and reorganized everything. We got everybody together, and then we moved back to our base. So we get back to our base maybe 7, 8 o'clock. I'm not sure the time, but we got back there sometime that morning. And we got back there, everybody kind of settled down. The press had got there, wanted to give interviews.
The media was already there.
They wanted to give interviews. I refused interviews for about 3 days because I was so shook up. Losing my guys,
right,
and some of the stuff that happened. So I wouldn't do interviews. My lieutenant kept telling me, "You got to do interviews, so they'll leave." Because they want to interview me, and I'm like, I don't want to interview.
Right.
But so I finally talked to the press, talked to them, and we never stopped. We never stopped going on missions though. That same day we got back to the base, we started going on missions again, right back out in the city. Yeah.
So you guys just refitted.
Yeah.
Got your track back up.
Yes.
And got a little rest, and y'all went back out patrolling in the city.
Everybody was just on pins and needles out there because they knew it had just happened.
Right.
So going back out there was on pins and needles. I can remember the first night we went back out there. We went past a Iraqi police station, and after we got past the police station, some of the police had walking down the street, and they had RPGs and AK-47s. And as I turned my turret around and seen them, I couldn't tell who they were, but I could see the RPGs.
You see the
Yeah,
weapons.
so I got kind of jumpy. I said, somebody need to tell me where we at, who these people walking with these RPGs. And the lieutenant said, we're near a police station, just calm down. But, everybody was on the edge. Yeah.
Wow. So we had talked to Staff Sergeant Bundy. He was a squad leader in your sister platoon.
That's right.
And he had said that at the end of the engagement that he himself was a heat casualty, and there were some others that they were just pumping the IVs
Yeah.
in. This is something we've not even talked about. You guys were out there and fighting in 120-degree temperatures at that time as well.
That's right. And I can tell you this, I don't remember drinking water or eating anything the whole time I was out there, but I'm sure I did, because we had been over there so long, it's like self-conscious, you know to drink water. So I'm sure I did, but I don't remember any of that.
So that our viewers understand that the not only the intensity of the battle, the enemy, the vehicle damage, the wounded, the dead you guys have taken, but personally your bodies are under this terrible strain
Yes.
of 120-degree weather, and what that does to the mind, what it does to you physically. Sergeant Stephens, this is an unbelievable story. And I don't know if you guys had a sense of the historic nature of it at the time, but clearly the historic nature of that engagement, and not just that engagement, but your personal bravery that day is absolutely amazing. I know over the years now, you've got years to look back. Take us now to this retired Sergeant First Class Stephens, looking back over your career. You were the man for the moment. What has been your thoughts looking back now over your career and over that moment where it all came to that one moment that you were the man willing to run out in enemy fire and rescue these soldiers? What's been your observations looking back? Can you kind of give us just what it's got? I don't know. I can't even imagine. I just want to hear. What's your thoughts looking back now after all these years?
Well, I can tell you this right here. I still have contact with all my guys that I was with in Iraq.
Really?
We still every June go to Jacksonville to where Specialist Desmond's parents are, and we have a big cookout every year, and we get together and we talk.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we talk every year. I think they have a lot of respect for me as their platoon sergeant and being with them. And I don't regret anything I did. If I had to do it over again, I'd do the same thing. Sometimes I sit and think and wonder if I'd have done something different, would the outcome have been different. But under that much stress and going through so much at one time, you have to make a decision, and you got to go with that decision. So I think I made the best decision I could make to get my guys out of there and help them the best I could.
I would say you did above and beyond the call of duty. You did above and beyond the call of duty, and it's touching to hear that y'all still get together.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you are now a representative for the VA.
That's right.
And you get to spend your career now helping your fellow soldiers.
That's right.
And service members.
That's right.
Tell us what's going on in your life now.
Okay, so I work now. I retired in May of 2012. I got a job with North Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs in August of 2012. So I handle Hertford County, North Carolina, and Gates County, North Carolina. I handle all the veterans in those counties, and I love every minute of it, helping veterans, because I know what I went through. So when I listen to their stories, I mean, if you sit here and think my story is amazing, there's people that went through way worse stuff than I did.
Wow.
Especially you talk to World War II guys, you talk to Vietnam guys, they just got amazing stories. And I try to help those guys and their families.
Yes.
And that means a lot to me, that I can still, help veterans and help their families, help their kids, all that. So
Still taking care of your soldiers.
Still taking care of soldiers.
All these years. Yeah.
I had a psychiatrist tell me one time, Chad, at some point you gotta stop taking care of soldiers and take care of yourself. I said, yeah, that day'll come soon, I guess. I don't know when it's coming, but
you don't know
it's
when
coming.
that day is coming.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
coming.
foresee that
Yeah.
coming anytime soon.
No, me neither.
It sounds like God gave you your assignment on earth.
Yeah, that's right.
And you picked up your mission and,
That's
and
right.
you're carrying it on.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I can say I remember I never rose above E4. I was a Fraser.
Yeah.
Never made it above E4, and men like you are always my heroes as young soldiers.
Thank you.
Looking up at those NCOs, that you would always hope that they would be the kind of men that would be there. You believe
That's
they
right.
would be the kind of men
Yeah.
who would be there when the chips were down.
That's right.
And you proved to be that kind of man. And so God bless you.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you so much for your time here today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's
Thank
good
you, bro.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Thanks, man.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
What a